The University of Arizona opened its doors in 1928 with a limited 7,000 seats located on the west side of the stadium. On opening day, on October 12, 1928, the Wildcats won their first game against California Tech with an ending score of 35-0. It has since then had over $1 million in renovations and has become the 56,000-seat facility we see today. With construction starting on the west side of the stadium and slowly moving counterclockwise, the stadium began to grow over the years as more fans began to recognize the amazing football program. With the growing demand in the stadium, in 1998, Sunt built a 4-story building which included a new press box and multiple levels of skyboxes.
But the project actually started out with a pretty large mat foundation system, so concrete system. If you take a look at the stadium, or at the skyboxes specifically, what you can see is that it kind of hangs out over that upper deck. And so what has to happen in those kind of situations is you wind up having to cantilever that structure. And so there's a pretty large foundation system and pretty stout column system that then allows you to build a project that's cantilevered out kind of over an edge. Like, so there's actual an edge for this because you have the upper deck, but it's like a very stout structural system. And so large mat foundation system followed by some very tall, very large columns. You know, the elevators actually travel up in those columns, the columns that have elevators. And then you get up to the top, and the top section is actually cantilevered steel. So it says, so if you can actually go to that side, if you walk underneath, you can see the concrete columns extend up, and then you can see the steel deck and the steel beams on the underside of the skybox system. So you've got 4 levels, over the skybox itself. You've got individual suites. It's been reconfigured a few times over the years, but really it was set up to be skybox suites. It's also set up to be a coach's area, and it's also got an area. Originally, we kind of looked at it and we were trying to think about constructing it vertically, really from the bottom all the way to the top, and which makes sense if you're doing something that's primarily structural. But we actually got to thinking about it as we were tracking what we were going to do in the project. We actually decided that once we got all the columns up in place, that we would actually start building the project horizontally. So that way we'd get all the structure done on one side and then move that structure all the way across. So as we were making our way through, once you have the structure in place, now you can start on the finishes on one end while you're still kind of making your way across with the structure. So then the finishes can follow right along. You pop the glass in and then you're done.
Since then, the stadium has had its fair share of upgrades, with the most recent being the artificial turf, which was completed in July of 2022, with the project costing $1.4 million. The reason for this change was the effects of the wear and tear on the stadium and for the safety of the student athletes. Another big project for the stadium was the construction of the Lowell Stevens football facility, which is located on the north side of the stadium. The $72.3 million project not only made the additions of more seats to the stadium, but also created a space for the growing football program. The expansion helped create dedicated facilities to the program, such as locker rooms, staff offices, workout areas, as well as the addition